tell me a little bit, like, based upon your background, what had you make the switch over to home services and specifically like exterior cleaning?
COVID happened, and we had the company going for roughly about 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. And then I was able to work from home, and I was finding that my job that when I was in the office would take me, 50 hours. I was able to knock it out 20 hours, and then idle hands at the devil's playground.
And so tell me a little bit, from a finance background, is there anything that you kind of take from that into your business now? And is that a part of the secret of your success and why you've been able to grow so fast? Or do you just kind of just like, business is business and we're just going for it?
Business is business. So the finance thing, I worked a lot in compliance. It does help me a lot with insurance purposes, but it's all about people.
How did you build your customer base?
I didn't understand marketing. I started hammering books, started reading like crazy. And I figured out pretty quickly that the area that I was in, we were in a nicer area. So I just started going door to door.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Superpro podcast. I'm Roland Ligtenberg, the co-founder of Housecall Pro. Since 2013, we've been on a mission to champion our pros to success, as well as the trades to success, because the work you guys do keeps our homes safe, comfortable, and our communities running. Through Housecall Pro, I've had the privilege of supporting hundreds of thousands of pros just like you all, empowering you all to achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. I'm super excited today. We have Daniel Busekist with No Streaks Exterior Cleaning. You guys specialize in commercial, residential, full spectrum exterior services out of Springville, New York, just south of Buffalo, just a little bit there. Daniel and his crew, they're on pace to bring in 1.4 million of revenue in 2024. Big goal, big lofty goal, especially for such a young business. They have 9 employees with 6 fleet vehicles. Daniel comes from a background of finance and politics, and now he's in the home service business. And so he's got a real fun journey. We're going to learn all about it today. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit, like, based upon your background, what had you make the switch over to home services and specifically like exterior cleaning?
So prior to COVID, I had in college and after college, I kind of did a little this and little that. I did some window cleaning here and there, and then COVID happened, and we had the company going for roughly about 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, and then I was able to work from home, and I was finding that my job that when I was in the office would take me 50 hours. I was able to knock it out in 20 hours, and then idle hands at the devil's playground. So I got busy doing something, and then I had a couple guys going on crews, and it kind of just took off. If anyone that was here during COVID knows that COVID was, boom time. If you could do it you couldn't do it then, you shouldn't be doing it at all.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, and the other thing too, you're working exterior too. So, you're primarily outside of the home.
New York was, we got listed we were marked as emergency, like, whatever the personnel was where you were
essential services. Yeah.
And you were, yeah.
And so tell me a little bit, from a finance background, is there anything that you kind of take from that into your business now? And is that a part of the secret of your success and why you've been able to grow so fast? Or do you just kind of just like, business is business and we're just going for it?
Business is business. So the finance thing, I worked a lot in compliance. It does help me a lot with insurance purposes, but, it's all about people, like whether you were working in finance or in the exterior services, any kind of trades, it's all about people, your people that work for you and customers. And it's just I've been very fortunate. I've had a lot of really good people that have been here with me, but,
how do you,
it's a lot. life is a lot easier now than it was in finance. It's a lot more settled. It's not as chaotic. People are nicer and happier to see you. Finance, people aren't always happy to see you.
Especially in compliance, I can imagine. And like, when you first started, who were your customers? Like, how did you build your customer base? And I think for others that are listening too, you do a fair bit amount of what might be considered like light commercial or commercial kind of work. Plus there's the residential side. Like, how did you define like who your customer is? How did you find your first customers? What did that look like?
So where we were living at the time, I didn't have really any idea what I was doing. I just, I didn't understand marketing. I started hammering books, started reading like crazy. And I figured out pretty quickly that the area that I was in, we were in a nicer area. So I just started going door to door. I learned as much as I could, as quickly as I could about Google Business Profile. I just devoured information. I remember a long time ago reading Walmart book and Mr. Walton, and he always talked about like the people of action are the ones that just they make the world turn. So I started just going out door knocking, and then I just focused on building my Google Business Profile. I used to be Google Business GMB back then.
GMB, now it's GBP. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I really focused on, building that up, reading Google white pages, learning what Google wanted to put you up higher on the list. So I did that, and then I just door knocked. I had a couple guys out cleaning windows and pressure washing, and then I just learned everything I possibly could, just devour information and books and podcasts.
And how do you find them? Is there someone that's sharing them with you and that's like, oh, Daniel, go read this? Are you just Googling it yourself, or how did you get all that?
I didn't really have a mentor until Housecall Pro. I would have, the amount of mistakes I made when I first started, they were costly. Like, you're talking tens, hundreds of $1,000s in mistakes that all could have been avoided. Alonzo was my first coach, but back when I first started, I just went to the basics. I just started reading books that were recommended. And then I started, Googling business, what's the best business book to start a home service company. And then Tommy Mello, I read his first book. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but his first book. And then the one that really made everything kind of click for me was the E-Myth. Suddenly,
E-Myth, yep.
Yeah, suddenly I saw a light at the end of the tunnel that I was like, I don't have to kill myself every single day. I can make my business work for me. And then I started to find a few podcasts that I thought were fun and interesting. And
what podcast do you like, or maybe recommend? If the listeners here are like, oh man, I want some other podcasts. I like podcasts. We're listening to this podcast, and maybe there's some other ones. What do you recommend?
So the first one I ever listened to was the Window Cleaning Resource, Jersey. And that one, it kind of gave me the very, very basics of window cleaning. Like, how about window cleaning business? And then, Tommy Mello, but I started his back when he started. So with Tommy Mello, it's really interesting to see. So if you go back to his day one podcast and you can actually listen to him as his company changes and grows. And it almost gives you kind of a blueprint from the mistakes that he made and like his life lessons and all that kind of stuff. But as it goes, you're like, here's that one. And then the big one for me for website development, SEO, and that kind of stuff is there's two guys. It's SEO and 10, but they're a company out of California. But their podcasts, they're 10-minute podcasts, and you can learn so much. valuable information from one podcast. Like, instead of reading an entire Google white pages, you can just listen to their podcast for 10 minutes and everything that you need to know. Like, because when I first started, the thing that changed a lot for me, I just went to a company and had them build my website, and it was an absolute disaster, and I didn't know it. So when you input business types for the schema for websites, they actually had my company listed as an animal shelter, and I didn't know it because animal shelter is the first one alphabetically. So they put in an invalid number for the code for the type of business. So it automatically defaulted to animal shelter. So it wasn't for 2 years after having listened. Suddenly I listened to their podcast one day and I just typed in Google page, their speed analyzer. And I typed in the Rich Report, and I actually emailed it to them, and they're like, "This is a nightmare."
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, when you're first getting started, you can't master, know all of the things. So some of the things you'll learn by trial and error. But, one thing, Daniel, you've done really well is just surround yourself with knowledge and just being like a voracious learner and going out and seeking out resources and all those things. Because, if someone's done what you're doing before, do anything novel, you might have a different approach to it, but learn from their mistakes, take their tips. Whether it's podcasts or books, like you said, like E-Myth is a fantastic book. If you're an HVAC, there's like an HVAC edition too. I would say just in general too, podcasts are great. Tommy's podcast is really great and inspiring, but, clearly, you guys are listening to this podcast because you're trying to learn too. And so you're probably like, oh, I'm learning to learn even more. But go take a look at some of these other resources because, these are industry tradespeople, and following their story can help you from making some of the same mistakes. Especially, make sure your website has the correct schema, not listed as an animal shelter. That would be good. Yeah. What tell me a little bit about, you mentioned you've got really good people around you. You got kind of like really lucky. What do you look for in employees? Where are they coming from? How long they've been with you? What kind of advice would you give to younger companies around hiring and finding great people?
So this is one thing that took me a while, and I am still learning about, training and hiring, but hire for personality, positive attitude. Everything else can be trained, but you can't train someone to have a positive attitude. Like, and nothing sinks the ship faster than like bad employee morale. Like, probably 2 years ago, I was kind of like a drill sergeant kind of guy. Like, oh, well, it's my way or the highway. And one day I was looking at the cameras outside just the shop because I was looking for I don't know if there was like an accident or something the night before. And I was looking at the cameras and I started looking at my employees as they were walking in, like the look on their face as they were like getting ready to come into work and into the shop. And like, they all just kind of had they all just looked sad and stuff like that. And then it made me, suddenly I got very introspective and I realized that, they don't want to come here. Like, it's not something that they're excited about doing. And it made me think I'm failing them as a leader. I'm not doing what I should be to make it a good work environment. So, I did a little bit of a deep dive on myself and just focused on how to be a better leader. Like, that whole lid philosophy about leadership. Your company is only going to grow as much as your ability to lead people. If you're a 6 out of 10 leadership, then the largest your company is ever going to get to is a 5 out of 10.
I think, when you get into the trade, you might be really good at a trade, but hiring and dealing with managing people, finding people, motivating people, that's a whole nother rabbit hole of things you can be perfecting for the rest of your life.
It's the hardest part. without a doubt, it's the hardest part of the business. Everything else is a cakewalk. The technical aspect of doing the job, it's easy, but managing people and leading people and getting your people excited to come to work. Like most people aren't excited to go to their job. Like it's called job, not a party. It's
called a job, not a party. That's right.
Yeah. If you can get your people to like get excited to come to work, and I always make sure like snacks are full, energy drinks, everything that they ever ask for, like, they all get shoes, boots, extras, many shirts as they want, they can have, uniforms, whatever they want. Just want it to be a good place to work where people are happy to come in.
Yeah. And speaking of like books and things like that, if people are looking for more resources, I think The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell is a really good book to read there. That one's like
John
super
Maxwell. He's the best. He's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that one. I like Dare to Lead too. That one's by, Brown. I can see the book in my head.
Dave Brown. Dave Brown?
Yeah, it's like Brene Brown or something. Something
like
that. Yeah. Good to Great is like another one. So High Output Management by Andy Groves. There's like a whole bunch of good ones. There's so many out there. But I think becoming a leader of people, making people enjoy, their work and coming in and not just a job. The easiest way, my biggest tip is just like figure out what their life goals are and then tie back the things that they're doing at their job, at their work, tie into those goals. And if you can make that thing clear, then people are going to be a lot more motivated at work because then they're working for themselves rather than working for you. Right. Yeah. And I think that's like a big mind shift that, as you're getting into the home services, you clearly have big goals. You've done well. You found good people. They're clearly happy to be there because you've built an amazing business and you're going to continue building it. But I think, a little education goes a long way, especially for people that are not necessarily born leaders. They're great tradespeople, great with their hands, great with their minds. But managing people, it's a whole nother beast.
Yeah. We started the book club this year. Like we have like 15, 20 books on the shelf. And Dare to Lead is one of the books. And they get like, they get $100 for every book they read. And they just have to write a short essay, and can't be a Chat GPT essay.
There's a bit real.
Yeah.
How do you validate that, by the way? Like, how do you, because you can just tell how they write?
Yeah. So no one ever writes an introduction and a conclusion if they're writing their own essay. So if there's an introduction or a conclusion, they didn't do it.
That's a good tip. I love that idea, by the way, just like investing in your employees, just paying them a bonus to do something that will help your business in the long term. A lot of great employees are probably employees. If they're really good, they will leave one day to start their own business. These are the ones that have high agency, high autonomy, and just get stuff done and take really good ownership over the things they do. And if you can help them along that path and you can get the value out of them, like employee lifetime value, by guiding them down that, it's always great. Especially too, if they stay in the area and they can refer your business and all kinds of great things, but you can't be afraid of that. You can't be afraid about losing your employees. You can't be afraid about them leaving to start their own thing. Because the good ones should, right?
Yeah.
They should. And it's just a matter of finding, hiring, training, and like you said, finding people with the right attitude versus finding people's skills. Because it sounds like you've got a good way to train them up on the way, they do it at your business at No Streak.
Yeah, I always like that. Like, I have no problem with my guys if they've been with me for a while, going someplace, starting their own thing. Like, that's okay. I always say, competition happens at the bottom. Cooperation happens at the top. I don't remember who said it, but I always love that quote. Like, I have, good people. I work with every single company around here because, it's just a good way to run business. Just everyone just work with each other, and
there's so much business to go around. There's tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in any given city, that could be made. So you're right. This competition mindset will only just be a detractor from what you can actually do. Talk to me a little bit about getting the business. What had you go search out for a tool like Housecall Pro? What was that moment when you're like, oh, I need something like this for my business? What was going on in your life or in your business?
Yeah. So we've been using QuickBooks only and paper copies. And it was one night, and I think it was about 12 o'clock at night. And I was just paper copying, doing estimates. I had them all spread all over the bed. And my wife looked at me and she's like, this cannot go on. She's like, if you don't figure out a way to streamline this, she's like, me and the dogs are going downstairs to sleep in the basement. They're like, she was just over it. And so then I started looking around for, CRMs, and I had bought a couple companies, and the people I had purchased it from, they had CRMs, and that was included in the purchasing of the company. And so I basically just started messing around on the different ones that I had purchased, because I was still keeping those valid because they still had the one more year, the rest of the year to fulfill on it. And all the customer information was still in those. So I just started messing around on them. And then the one that stuck out was the Housecall Pro, just because it was the ease of use and the different aspects of it, as far as like managing people, outreach to clients. It just was easier to navigate, and it wasn't as clunky. Like a couple of them, the look and feel of it just doesn't look and feel like a professional like CRM. It almost feels like something someone took 20 minutes and built and then let ChatGPT do the rest. Not that they had ChatGPT back then, but it just was it was just very clunky. So, it was 2021 and it was easy, and it integrated with everything. That was the big part, is that it integrated with all the other different software that we're running, and we didn't have to it was just seamless.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are like, well, why is Housecall Pro easy to use? And so I'll share some of the secret sauce, but we use Google's material UI design, and we have some proprietary UI design. But what that means is that when you're using the product, you're like, oh, this seems familiar, or I know what that button does because you've seen the hamburger menu somewhere, right? That's where the 3 lines, or you've seen the little cog, right? You're like, oh, that's the settings thing, or like what things are, they kind of make sense. But it's because there's standards and frameworks, and rather than invent your own from scratch, like a lot of other softwares that maybe seem clunky because you're like, you got to learn this whole new thing. This is like, oh yeah, this kind of just looks like Google Calendar, but a little souped up, and so the training is easy, getting on board it is easy, but then, you can dive deeper and get more complex. So easy out of the box, you can make it more complex as you become more of a power user and used to it. But like Daniel said, just ease of use for sure. We hear that a lot.
Yeah, we tried. So like the first one we used, I went and got one on my own CRM, but it's not really a CRM. Like we tried using Responsive Bid, and we tried actually making it into like a CRM, and it's optimized like to be a selling software.
It's a proposal,
in conjunction with your CRM. So I tried to force it, and then I learned. I learned the hard way.
Yeah. And I would just say, like, the other thing is building real software takes real money and takes real engineering power. We started from somewhere too, back in 2013, 2015 when we launched with like just 4 engineers. But now we have, 500 people on our product and engineering team. Takes real money to really go build that up. So as you're thinking about just buying software, is this a software company that's growing alongside of you? Are they adding new stuff? I know you're a big pipeline fan. That was a new feature 2 years ago now. But that was something we never had, which is even more CRM. How do you use pipeline? What do you like about it? Why is it your favorite feature?
It takes steps away. It saves everyone time. It saves every employee time, and it increases our approval rate. Our percentages. Let's see. We started running pipeline this spring, and we were sitting around 30%, 35%, which is I mean, it's not horrible. We try to sit right in that.
It's respectable. Yeah.
Yeah. We try to sit. Yeah. We right in that 45 to 50% range. But you have to work at it. And like our front end, our CSRs, like, between phone calls, text messages, having to send emails, doing everything manually. If you can just automate everything, and it's, what can a CSR do if they have an extra 3 hours a day to actually do other things? Like, you're saving everyone time. Like, it was just a no brainer. As soon as, I think I just didn't even know what it was or how it was available. Like, it was there and I'd seen it, and I was like, well, just one day, I think I got the new update, and there was a bunch of new things. And it was like, I went actually this time, instead of hitting the skip button and exiting it out, I actually watched the updates and I went through it, and I was like, wow, there's so many things on here that I just didn't have the time to go through. And it doesn't, in retrospect, I'm like, well, had I been using this 2 years ago when it first came out,
where would much bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people out there, like, oh man, it's another add-on or something I have to pay for. I don't know. It's like $100 a month, or I forget what it is, because it's different by plan type. But like, the amount of sheer time it saves is wild. And the other way to look at it is like, if it closes one more estimate for you this month, it'll pay for the rest of your entire subscription of Housecall Pro for the year.
It pays for itself in 3 hours of labor. So,
totally.
That CSR, $35 an hour. Well, now
that's another way to look at it.
Yeah, they saved 120 hours a month. So that's $4,000.
Oh yeah, it goes super quick. What's like, looking back at it, you guys have a really great Google business profile because you guys have a lot of reviews. You guys are that perfect 4.9 star, and I say perfect because if it's really a 5-star, you're like, I don't know, but 4.9, you're like, yeah, every once in a while, maybe you get that crazy cat lady, or like the HOA Karen, that just is like, you can't win them over, but it's the responses that matter. How do you generate those reviews? Like, what do you do to optimize that and to grow?
So we use the integrations for through Housecall Pro, through Nice Job, and then Company Cam. So Company Cam is the pictures, everything like that. So Google's their last update that went through, the big one, they're giving a 5-to-1 weighting for reviews that have a picture in it. So it's basically every one picture review that has geotagged equates to about 5 normal reviews as far as weighting goes. Yep. So I started running a Nice Job and doing the automatic software for them, and then they also do have the outreach as far as that kind of stuff. And then we integrated Company Cam with that as well, both through the Housecall Pro platform, and it's just automatically syncs, and it's just all you got to do is just take the pictures and then do the before and afters. And the amount of reviews that we've gotten just since we started using the Housecall Pro, like the integration through it, I think we're averaging, I don't know, 5 during the season. It's probably 5-6 a week. And all of those are picture and video reviews. As long as we're uploading the before and after pictures, they're automatically done.
Yeah. And like Daniel said, this is like a little secret, a little tip, a little golden nugget, is the more context a review provides. So like employee name, location, service, price, pictures, right? The geotag. When Daniel said geotag, there's what's called EXIF data inside of pictures, right? Which is like when you send a picture to someone else, they can see where you took the picture because it's got the GPS location. It's like that kind of stuff. Google's looking at the full package of what's in that. And so those things are weighted much more than just like 5-star, good job. Right? like I don't know, anybody could left that. So,
but if you do a really good job and you knock the customer socks off, they always will put lots of information in there. The people who feel like obligated to give you a 5-star because you have 5 stars, there's no context in there. They just hit 5-star. But like when you always know when someone did a good job because the person leaving a review over explains the review. Like it's so much detail, and then you always got to reply to them, and then put the service type in the response. It's amazing how many times I look through people's reviews and there's no replies. A couple of the people that I've hired, they've been like, when I was looking at places to apply to for a job, I just looked at your replies to the reviews, and you can get a lot of insight into the owner by like the actual like culture, because you always see those reviews when the guy who gets like a 3-star review, like he just goes off and yells at the person leaving the review. So you kind of understand without even having to know how that guy is as a boss.
Oh, that's a great golden nugget. I mean, clearly homeowners and consumers, so buyers of your product, are looking at your reviews. But in the same way, employees are deciding to work at your company or not. It's also a really great just branding element, and like you said, then you can know the kind of boss. Because I've seen some of those replies where it's like, you've never been a customer, or like, I came back 3 times to try to fix it and you still were never happy. This is a customer that could never be happy. You're like, you need to respond like that.
Yeah.
Just use ChatGPT to come up with something, if you don't know what to say. But yeah, that's great. Tell me a little bit about, is there any feature, we talk about pipeline, we talk about like integrations and reviews. Is there any feature you're like, oh man, now that I know what I know now, I should have used this when it was just like me and just like a couple of guys. Like I should have used this straight from the get-go.
I don't know. I would say probably the messaging. I mean, I don't know why that one jumped in my head, but as far as messaging other employees, like everyone knows you have the function in there, the capability to message your customers, which is great. Like, just messaging your customers through the system and having like the secondary phone numbers, but like messaging your employees, like, because you don't know if they read your text. So when you send messages to the employees, like that, they don't have their read receipts on. So like when I send messages to them through the Housecall Pro and they clock in, like I can hear like that ding. Like Housecall Pro is a very distinct ding. So like I'll be in the shop and like you start hearing people's stuff dinging and going off. But I start the messaging one. What is the other one? I'm trying to think here.
Yeah, employee messaging is great because it's all within the app, and so that you can keep within that same context. And then also you can have multiple people in one chat thread talking to the customer too. So if you want to bring in a technician and an owner, or a CSR and an owner, so you can do it like multi-threads. You can also like leave notes in there that the consumer can't see, but your technician can see.
Yeah.
And then you just got to remember to toggle back right between notes and like the real version. So there's a lot of like hidden little featers in there.
The big one though is the reporting. Like,
the reporting.
And now in hindsight, like running your reports, like I probably didn't run a report for the first 2 years. So I just was kind of guessing at how the business was doing. Like I didn't know how to do a P&L sheet until I think till my coaching program, till Conquer started. I didn't know how to do it. And they kind of taught me. But, when you run your reports, like your time, the drive time function, like it's kind of, it's that one's huge because, we were getting brutalized on our drive time and I didn't know it. Cause I wasn't doing the dispatching. And then I started running the reports, and like a couple of our techs were averaging like 3 hours of drive time a day.
Wow.
Which is ungodly. And then I started looking at it and in response to that, we shrunk down our service area. We started using the map feature for scheduling. We started doing all those things. It's basically because of reporting, and it's things fall through the cracks on a day-to-day basis. owners get busy, people get busy, and you can't fake it when it comes to running your reports. Like, you can see what your bottom line is, what your numbers are, what your average hourly is, your conversion rate on your leads. Like, all those things are real. Like, people bury their heads in their sand, and you don't think about that kind of stuff. And it's easier to get caught up in fixing an engine out back, or, doing like the little minutia. But when you start running your reports, it gets real quick.
Yeah, it's just adding that extra layer of visibility. And I think a lot of people oftentimes are like, oh, I want to run a report now. They're like, oh, but I didn't tag all my stuff for the last couple of years. And you're like, oh man, you don't have job types on all of your stuff, or you don't have business units, or you don't have any kind of customer tags or lead source. Man, you should have been doing that from the get-go, so that now you can run the reports and you can look season over season, year over year, period over period. And you can kind of go back to like, what's a high season? What's a slow season? Is there weather, or is the reason, or who knows? But in your case, it was like windshield time. That's a productivity killer. And, simple things like, oh yeah, I should just shrink my services zip. And all of a sudden, like, your profits go up because the time your guys are out there producing revenue is greater versus just in the truck and you're bleeding money, just having them to drive around. So, but it takes that, I'd say foresight, but it takes that knowledge and being willing to face the real numbers, because the numbers are there, and you should have at them. We've had so many good golden nuggets here. We got to wrap up here because we're already way over time. What's like one golden nugget, one piece of wisdom, something maybe that you'd tell young Daniel, maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago? It could be words of encouragement. It could be like a business tip. What would you leave the audience with today?
Oh, get a mentor. Like, that's, get a mentor, find someone. And the thing is, older, like older techs in the area, like older company owners, like, they like to help people. Like, as long as you're going to use that information, they don't want, they're like, I try to talk to people that are way outside my class, like people that are doing way better than me, and try to get them, mentor me, and like, just for anything, questions. Like, it has saved me so much time. Like, I just wish that, like, when I was younger, I would have, found a mentor earlier. Like, it's very expensive. And then, once you get more established, and then you start to have more self-awareness of what the potential is, and, and you start learning, and you start getting everything going and moving in one direction. And then you look back and you think, what could have been? Like, where could I be at had I, known these things and learned these things earlier and sooner?
That's right. Yeah. I love that as like a parting word of wisdom, because I feel like not enough people seek out enough help. And the trades is a lonely business, but it doesn't have to be. There's other people doing what you're doing. Other people have done what you've done. Go out, seek help. And sometimes too, mentors can be free. Sometimes you pay for coaches, and that's the reality. The best people, the best athletes, everyone, they have someone to hold them accountable. Ryan Phelps has coaches, right? Like
Michael Jordan had 5 coaches at the peak of his his prime. He had 5 coaches. Like, you don't think that you are going to do better if you have one person that gives you advice? Like, and like, most people I find, they know the right thing to do, or they know the right answer. They just won't do it because, they just aren't introspective. But when someone from the outside source tells you the right thing to do, like, it's easier to do something when someone else tells you, what needs to be done. At least for myself.
Yeah. And I think that's true for most people, for sure. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us on the Superpro podcast. This has been great. So many good tips for everyone that's listening. If you are using Housecall Pro, go check out some of the features that Daniel mentioned. If you're not using them, like Pipeline. If you're new or haven't made a choice yet, or you're using something and you're like, I don't know if this is the right pick or not, you can always go to housecallpro.com/podcast deal. Or you can always text me, 858-215-1512. I was texting Daniel earlier. It's my cell. So if you want to get a hold of me, I can get you to the right people. As always, stay tuned for another guest. And Daniel, thank you again so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.